So if you've been looking for videos on how to revise, start revising for your A-levels, GCSE or whatnot, look no further. I've got the tips and tricks for you. I'm going to be giving you guys tips that I used to revise to get the grades I wanted. So I've got everything written down here so you know we mean business. So I'm just going to give you guys a bit of a backstory. I did math, physics and geography at A-levels, and alhamdulillah I was able to achieve an A-star in math, A-star in geography and an A physics. So this is basically just me explaining what I did to revise. So just stay along and hopefully you can gain something from this. So if you're watching this video, it obviously means you want to get started with your A-levels. So that is the tip number one. Start now. And with Easter break coming up, you've got enough time for you to get started and get the groove going. You can plan what you want to do. We've got like how many days to A-levels? You've got like about 100 days. That is enough for you to get the groove on. I actually started my revision for my A-levels full on in February. So if you are watching this now, it's not too late to start. The second thing you want to do is get a copy of the content that you need to cover, because aimless revision is one of the first mistakes you can make, as it just leaves you feeling like you really haven't done anything. So if you want to get that content list, I think the best place to get it is probably the exam board. So if you go onto your exam board, say AQA, and then check your subject and then check the topics you're going to be examined on. So those topics are just your content list. That's exactly what you need to cover, because that is what's going to be examined. That's what they're going to ask you. So just get that down and know what you need to cover. The tip I would say is, when you get that content list, you want to make sure you, by the way, all these is just the planning. This is not actually revising yet, but you need to do this before you can kickstart your revision. So when you get that content list, you want to use a R.A.G system. That's basically red, amber, green, and that just means beside each of them topics beside each of them topics in the content list, you want to rate it like red, amber, green. So red basically meaning you don't know anything about that topic. Amber is like, well, I kind of know this, I don't. And green is like, I'm fully confident. And the reason you use that R.A.G system is to know your strong and your weak points. Because when you're revising, you're really inclined to focus on things you understand. And it will just trick you, because it make you feel like you've got like the revision covered, like you've got that exam, when you've actually not. It will give you a better view of where you actually are, and this will actually guide your revision process through this time. So tip number 4 I would say is create a timetable. Like, I understand everyone is like, well, timetables don't work for me, or timetable can be too restrictive. I was once like that. I hated timetables. I always gave excuses that timetables don't work for me, like it's just not my thing. But I think that's just because I don't follow it. It's not that timetables are not great. Think about it this way, like your everyday is basically a timetable. You wake up, say 8, go to school, period 1, lesson 1, period 2. They all got time breaks. After school, go gym, come back home, revise. That's basically a timetable. So you just think you're adding just a little bit more into that block of times. That's going to help you be better efficient at revising, because if you've got a slot of time, say you've got 30 minutes break and you need to revise, if you spend 15 minutes thinking of what to revise, you've literally wasted that whole revision time because you're not doing anything. So creating a timetable is just going to let you know exactly what you need to be doing when. Find what revision method works for you. Some people like active recalling, some people use like notes, some people use flashcards, and then some people use like, you know, the Pomodoro. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that, some people use that to revise. I feel like find what works for you and find what works for each subject, because every different subject I personally think should have a different method of revising. Like for me, I've never really used flashcards up until year 13, and I tried flashcards for my math, for physics and geography, but it didn't work for math and physics. But for geography, it was literally my lifesaver. Like everything geography, I've got flashcards. And I also use the Pomodoro technique. So I set a time block of 2 hours to focus on the content I need to cover that day based on what is on my timetable as I've already planned. So probably just take a week off and plan everything before you actually get revising, so at least you know what technique it's going to work for this, what technique is going to work for that. So just experiment with the different techniques, and I guess you find the one that works for you, because not everyone's going to have the same method of revising, and you don't want to revise with this method when it's actually not helping you, because in the long run you're going to realize that you didn't actually gain anything from the revision and it's going to be too late. For tip number 5, it's practice question. I know this is a bit generic, like everybody says practice, do practice papers, do past papers, but I don't think people fully understand the importance of past paper. Like you can fully read and revise content, like you can read the textbook, read your notes given to you by your teachers, and then you feel like, oh, I've gotten this concept, I understand this. But then when you actually look at a question, it's like, what am I supposed to write here? Because a content can be asked in 2 different ways or 3 different ways. Like you've got, I'm going to use geography for a second. You've got them 6 markers, you've got them 12 markers. They're going to be under the same topic, but the way you answer them is different. So if you answer the 6 marker the way you're supposed to answer a 12 marker, or you answer a 4 marker the way you're supposed to answer a 6 marker, is like, you're not going to get the points you need. So you need to actually fully spend most of your revision time, I would say, in doing past papers. Like once you've completed the content, and just go straight to the past paper and keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. You also want to, one thing I know people don't talk about as much as the past papers, because past papers are obviously important, is the examiner's report. Because after each exam, the examiner marks the exam and whatnot. You can see under every past paper, you see what the examiner thinks about how student did on each question. So if you read them reports, you can see the mistakes student made that year, how they understood the question, what you need to do to better understand the question. It just gives you like a view into the examiner's thought process when they mark the student's group. So you're going to know, oh, when I see this type of question, this is what the examiner wants me to do. When I see this type of question, I shouldn't forget this, like don't make this mistake, don't add this. It just gives you a clear view on how to actually answer the papers. Tip number 5, it's not really a tip, it's just like an advice. Don't beat yourself up. Take breaks. Like taking breaks is one of the most beneficial thing of revision. Like it just leaves you feeling elevated. You could say, I said I used to do Pomodoro, right? I do like a 2 hours block. Imagine doing that back to back, back to back, back to back. I'm just going to be physically drained, mentally drained, and then I'm just going to be burnt out. Like what I'm revising, I'm not even going to get it in my head. So you want to make sure you take breaks, do things you enjoy. Take a walk, walk your dog, go make coffee, drink water, I don't know, but don't get into your phone on social media, because that's the mistake we all make. Like you're going to be like, oh, I've got 5 minutes, I'm just going to scroll on Instagram for 5 minutes, I'm going to go on TikTok for 5 minutes, and then you end up being there for an hour. So I mean, maybe that's just me, but if you feel you've got like the self-control and you can do it, go ahead if you can do it. But personally for me, I couldn't. I even had to go to the extreme to delete my Instagram, my TikTok. So throughout that period of time to my A-levels, I didn't have any single social media on my app except YouTube, and because I couldn't delete YouTube for some reason, and that was literally where I spent most of my time. But I was able to just reduce that distraction by just taking it off, because yeah, I'm gonna have time to do that. Right now I literally go on Instagram and TikTok about God knows how many times in a day. So you're gonna have time for all that. Just keep that to the side for now, and then just take breaks so you can feel relaxed and motivated to go do more. Like give yourself, like you can be like, oh, once I finish this 2 hours, I'm gonna go crochet or something. It just lets you go through the revision time better, giving you a view of what you want to do after. So you're gonna feel like it's like treating yourself, really. It's just treating yourself at this point. So just give yourself breaks. Don't get burnt out, because you don't want that. It's gonna affect you and it's gonna be bad. This is also another advice, but tip number 6, 7, which one are we on? 5, 6, 7, 7? I think it's 7. Tip number 7 is don't compare. Like, comparison is truly the thief of joy. Say I made this mistake and I'm so glad that I was able to come out of it really early. Your friend might get a concept in like 30 minutes, and then you're stuck on that same concept, say a definition, for almost an hour. You still don't get it even after the lesson. Don't beat yourself up about it. Everyone has got the timeline. Like, just know how you revise and just revise that way, because if you keep comparing yourself to someone else, you're gonna feel like you haven't achieved anything, but you actually have. So give yourself acknowledgement, like acknowledge the progress you've actually made, because you don't want to not acknowledge that and then you beating yourself up thinking, oh, I haven't revised that much. That's just gonna make you not want to revise, because you see someone else revising at a much faster pace than you are. So don't just compare, just look at it as it's my own journey. I'm going to be the one writing my own exam. It doesn't matter how long it, obviously it matters how long it takes you. Like, make sure you cover the content, but it doesn't matter how fast you grab the, just as long as you grab the concept, you're good. So don't compare yourself to others, because it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. You're just going to destroy your mental health. Like, literally. A tip that I'm going to give for now is disturb your teachers. Like, your teachers are there for a reason. Some people feel like after the lesson, after they teach you, that's it. No, it's not. They literally get paid to teach you and do other stuff for you. For me, say for my geography, the amount of times I sent practice answers to these teachers, it's like they're probably gonna be sick of me. Like, I'm just gonna show you guys the emails I sent to them. I can't even count. Just disturb your teachers. Don't just disturb them for like random 1 or 2 not sensible reasons, because you don't want to waste their time. You don't want to waste yours as well. Like, say your practice papers that you've answered, you can give it to them like, sir, can you mark this for me, please? Can you give me feedback? Can you do this? And topics you don't understand, if you've watched your videos, you've tried practice papers, you've read reports, and it still doesn't make sense to you, just go to them. They'll make time for it, because that's literally what they have to do. They have to make time to teach you before you go into the exam. Gone through all these and you've definitely put in the effort, you've done what you need to do. Just leave everything into the hands of God. Like, you've done your part, let him do his part. So just let God take control, and hopefully you will achieve the grades that you need to achieve. So I hope by watching this you've gained 1 or 2 things, hopefully. And if you've got any more questions that I didn't fully elaborate on or I didn't really talk about, just make sure to leave that in the comment section. And as I said, I did math, physics and geography. So if you want like a in-depth on how to revise, or how I revise for each of them subjects, don't forget, just leave that in the comment section as well. I'll make sure to answer that to the best of my ability. I could even make another video on it. So thank you so much for watching, and I wish you guys the best in your revision journey. So make use of this Easter holiday really well, because you're going to thank yourself for it. Bye.